guys, tell me about this project, the Always Us.
Dude, it's been a super exciting journey so far. So we started together about a year and a half ago, just after the like strict lockdown regulations eased up. Since then, it's pretty much been a whirlwind. We've recorded an album, recorded 3 music videos that we stoked with. It's been pretty good so far.
You guys, it's so what as far as I'm aware, you guys haven't released anything as of yet. You haven't played a show as of yet. You've just got all of this ready to go and to launch, to the best of my understanding.
Yeah, 100%. I think the purpose behind that is, and this is an analogy that I think Dan used right at the beginning of the formation of the band, was we don't necessarily want to cast to an empty seat. So we've been trying to build our following, just been trying to build our social presence so that when we do release, it's not releasing to the 5, 10 friend members that we have following us on socials.
No, that's perfectly understandable.
And it's also just to make a product, get the product ready before we come out with anything. A lot of bands do it in reverse, where they will have band practice for 3 years and play a lot of shows in that time, but they won't record anything. And I've been in bands for multiple years, and you end the band and you don't have anything to show for it. So at least with us, we're going the reverse route and making the product, and then trying to build a bit of steam, and then, getting onto shows and that sort of thing.
I mean, I think that does speak to I know Dan and I know Tanner, and it speaks to your experience as musicians because Dan, you're with Truth Decayed, you're with the Southport. Tanner, you're also with the Southport. I don't know if Vectorfield is still a thing, but
Yeah.
you guys have so much experience with these kind of things, and you guys have been working on this for so long that it's actually impressive that you've managed to pull all of this together because damn, it's crazy. There's so much more done than most bands, like you said, that have been going for a while already.
Yeah, exactly. And we blessed in a bit of a way where myself and Matthew, we've both studied video technology and stuff at DUT, and we work in the video industry. So when it comes to filming content and filming music videos and stuff, we like to get our hands dirty with that stuff. And the stuff we've learned through our careers, obviously helping out a bit. So
I think it also just speaks for a lot of the work ethic of the members of the band. We're pretty much non-stop 24/7, whether it's out of choice or forced insomnia. So I think we're constantly working, we're constantly trying to, like Dan says, improve that product and just put out the best product that we can.
I've just jumped into it right immediately because I'm familiar with Dan and with Tanner. Guys, introduce yourselves and what it is you do in the band and your other projects that you've worked on up until this point.
So I will start from one side. So, I'm Matthew. My name's Andre. let me do that again. Sorry. My name's Matthew Andre. I'm the guitarist. So, and like Dan says, I've studied film and whatnot, and I've been in the film industry since 2013, doing quite a few interesting things and been to some interesting places. And I've learned a hell of a lot in that time. And just using all of that sound engineering experience, videography experience. Just using all of what I've learned with everyone else's knowledge here to create what we've created, So that's me, I reckon.
Cool, and I am Tanner. I play bass and sing vocals and backup vocals. The cool thing I think about us as well is obviously being hustling musicians. Most of us, we all work full-time jobs as well. So I make surfboards. I work for a surfboard factory in town. And that's another release, I guess.
Yeah.
Who am I? That is a very good question. I'm Juanine. My surname is complicated, so I will not say it. I am a music teacher as well as a musician. Music has been my life since I've been around 5 or 6 years old. I play keys, I play guitar, I sing, and
One thing that Waneen won't tell you about herself is the number of talent competitions and singing competitions that she entered growing up. Walk into her room for practice and there are just medals and trophies everywhere.
And because I had such severe stage fright, it was the only way to get over it. My parents were like, "You are doing this." And I took my mom onto stage the first time I had to actually. She came with me. But that was actually the cure for my stage fright.
And I am Daniel. I play drums in the band, but it's a bit of a cross thing at the moment where we kind of have two different setups for the band, where it's a larger performance and a smaller setup. You know, if you have to play like in a nightclub, and you don't want to have a full drum kit and that sort of setup. I would play bass, and Tanner kind of focuses on the vocals and maybe some like percussion elements. We've got one of those little drum pads that you can, put samples and stuff on. So we've been playing around with that stuff. But yeah, I've been playing in bands for, I think I worked it out the other day. I think it was like 19 years now. I'm showing my age a bit.
Oh, you are the eldest.
But yeah, it's through a wide variety of different genres, like metal to punk and EDM, trap stuff, and emo with some dance elements. And so I've played around with a lot of synth stuff and mixing it with rock music in different forms. And it's just one thing that I like to incorporate as much as possible into the bands that I'm in. So yeah, writing the songs, I've tried to throw some of that stuff in there.
I love how like music is just progressing to like just an amalgamate of like different genres. Everything is fusing with everything else, and you're like ending up with these like very interesting like subgenres and shit. And this band also just seems like, a personification of that. Like all four of you are so like kind of different with where your backgrounds come from, and you just come together and made this whole completely new baby. It's really cool.
Sure, I think something about that though is it's definitely been an idea that's been brewing in Dan's mind for, let's say, the better part of the last decade, is putting together an electro band, but that actually plays real instruments, So I think one thing that we want to try and get our fans or our crowds to take away from a show is that we're trying to play music that we wouldn't necessarily associate with a full instrumental band. Yeah. And if we can sort of perfect that DJ sounding set where it's almost non-stop high octane sixth gear from start to finish, I think that's something that's a little unique. We don't really see many people doing it in town at the moment.
No, that's cool. When Dan messaged me initially about the concept, I was like, that sounds interesting. Like, because like knowing like Dan's background, I was like, I wonder like, who he's doing this with. This sounds really interesting. And then he said he was working with Devo. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a chat anyway. Like, I think my response to Dan's message was pretty short. It was like, yeah, dude, if you're working with Devo, we're gonna have a chat anyway. And then like within that same week, I heard from Devo. Like,
he's such a legend, and I think that's another sort of pathway or tack that we've tried to take with this band is we've put a lot of effort into the marketing of it with guys like Devo and having conversations like this, because I think that's a big part of a current band, is making the most of all the social media and all of the platforms that we can use to try and get ourselves out there.
No, that's fantastic. And when you were saying that you did like a whole bunch of like singing competitions and stuff, and that you did that to get over your stage fright. I don't know about you, but for me, like stage fright doesn't ever really go away. You just learn to manage it better. I don't know if it's been the same for you or if you're just so accustomed to it at this point.
No, I don't think it goes away. For me, I just got hooked on the adrenaline.
Oh, so you're a junkie. Okay.
100% an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah. I think we all are actually having this conversation. It's like, hence why we
are a very highly strung group.
I also think, like you said, for us, this project is a way to release this side of us, the pop EDM side of it, where the Southport and Truth Decayed allows us to have a release for the more rock alternative side of our interest in music. I think you have to have that release. It's important, and if it can come in different avenues or different ways, why not?
Yeah, like I agree with you 100%. I found that a lot of people tend to pigeonhole you based on their perception of the type of music that you make. Like especially if you're in a band or something and they think, cool, that's all that this person does, and that's all they kind of know you as. So like for me personally, like a lot of people think, oh, he's a guitarist in a metal band, he must only like metal, whereas like I thoroughly enjoyed listening to the stuff that you guys have that you're going to be releasing, I think, on the 24th?
I'll be honest, but your Paramore covers and some of those guitar covers that you do are spicy, and they really get. So please don't ever stop doing that, dude.
I've been doing lives on TikTok, so just doing covers and taking requests. And someone last night was like trying to get me to cover a song. They're like, it's metal. Like, I know you don't really play that kind of stuff. And I was like, I'm offended. I'm offended that you think I don't play metal. I took that personally. Sorry.
What are they trying to get you to play?
Weirdly enough, it wasn't even that heavy. It was World on Fire by Slash.
Oh yeah,
Cheap it.
definitely don't.
It was still funny though. But yeah.
Also, like I just want to touch on like our the stage performance that we're putting on. It's from being in multiple bands. You learn the little I'd say like the awkwardness on stage with the crowd and stuff like that. So in between songs, you always get that deadly silence for like a few seconds before anything kicks off again. So the whole thing, like what Tana was touching on there, with like making it like a DJ experience sort of thing, where it's we build a set that runs like for 45 minutes or however long we need to perform for, and then in that set, it's running backing tracks and stuff that carry like interludes between songs and that sort of thing, just to make it like it's more of a performance than just playing a couple songs on stage, to try to lift that side of things.
No, 100%. I can understand that entirely. And have you guys performed a show yet?
No, not yet. Yeah, we're trying to get all the album, like we were saying, get the album out, some music videos, build the following, and hopefully if we're lucky enough, get some songs on the radio, and then get build a little bit of traction and see what happens.
No, that's sick. I'm stoked. Like I'll probably come watch you guys when you play. Like
sending you VIP tickets for sure.
Hell yeah.
Big part of the struggle though, and I think you must know this as well, being an experienced musician yourself, but the venues that we have available to us are very limited, and especially with the sound that Always Us incorporates, there are only a sort of handful of venues that we can sort of see ourselves playing in that'll accommodate our sound and our energy. So that's also been a big part of the direction that we're taking, is trying to find what sort of scene and what sort of vibe will suit us best and our performances best.
Yeah, no, I can imagine, like, because the sound that what you've explained, what Dan has explained about how you would need to set up, that could be quite challenging. And like you said, like no disrespect to any of the venues trying to do local, like host live music in Durban, because like a lot of them have been doing it out of the fact of there is no one else, there is no venue designed specifically for it at the moment, and they're doing their best, but they're obviously not kitted for basic bands, let alone something as complicated as what you guys are doing.
I think without the venues that are doing it at the moment, we'd be a lot worse off.
No, definitely.
I think it lends hand in hand with the sort of direction that we see ourselves going in. There are obviously venues that we can play in, but whether or not that'll fit our aesthetic or our sound engineering is the question. Because that's, again, also part of the experience, is the venue and the aesthetic and everything that you take away from that.
No, definitely. Absolutely. With the releasing, are you guys going to drop the whole album at once? Are you going to release like some singles, or what's kind of your plan with moving forward? Because I see a lot of guys aren't just dropping albums, they're doing singles, and whatnot. And I'm assuming you're not going to drop all 3 music videos at once. But yeah, what are your guys' sort of plans with that?
So yeah, we've so the plan is we're basically dropping a single and the music video for that single. That song's called Going Under. That's our more like drum and bass sort of sounding song, and that song is
coming out on the 23rd.
The 23rd of February. That will be premiering. I'm sure it'll be out by then. But the Techs in the City are going to be premiering that video. And then the following day, on the 24th of February, dropping the whole album in one go. Obviously, the music videos that we have 2 other videos, and those will come out in the months after that sort of thing, just to carry on content. But we've got a whole bunch of stuff filmed, performances and sing-along things and all sorts of like content.
Acoustic versions of the album.
Yeah. So we've got a whole bunch of content like lined up to kind of give people a taste of what we are like live. but obviously the performance part will, like what Tanner was saying just now, that will come later once we've worked out all that side of things.
No, that's fantastic. Like, and then having two like qualified videographers in the band must help so much with content creation. Like, that must make life so much easier.
A perfectionist brain is not easy to please, I'll tell you that much, dude.
I mean, we're extremely fortunate with the skills that we have. I mean, we have videographers, we have sound engineers, we are creative. I mean,
we have a music teacher as well, to
Yeah,
help us out with the theory.
And we can, and the artwork that we have for the album, interestingly enough, is made with AI.
Yeah.
So it's all from Midjourney, and then as well as the lyric videos, it's all AI.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, and this is a sick album art. That's actually really fucking cool. Like, I would never have guessed.
Sure, man.
I'll tell you one thing, it's been a hell of a lot of fun,
It's
a
been
lot
so
of
much
learning, a lot of experimenting, and it's all just come together.
I can imagine.
Just, dude, on a side note, thank you again for chatting to us. It's something that, from a personal note, it's something that I feel like has been manifesting for a while. I remember listening to some of your first podcasts with guys like Dom and Jude from Easy Freak and Sean Ross and them. And it's been a goal to chat to you guys and to try and push our own music on this platform for a long time. So thank you for giving us.
I'm really grateful to hear that. Like, I can't express how much that means to myself and to Naz, because this platform was just created out of a love for the South African music scene, and like we wouldn't exist if it wasn't for that love of South African music. So thank you for being willing to talk to us.
Goes hand in hand. Yeah. So shot.
I can tell you, anything that comes out of KwaZulu-Natal is pure passion, 100%.
100%.
There's little to no monetary gain. Like, if you're doing anything music related in Durban, you gotta do it for love. Like,
We'll change that.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully,
hopefully.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
have you guys got any like shows in the pipeline? Like, and you guys said you've been working on like how you're gonna sort of manage to get the sound to work and stuff like that. What is your sort of timeline to playing your first like kind of live show?
I think we're pretty open to ideas and to options as far as timeline goes. I think once we've released the album and have pushed it for the first month or two and got it to the point that we want to, we'll probably start looking at it then. It obviously puts a little bit more pressure on us if we're now trying to fit shows in amongst all of our other commitments with dropping the album, etc., other interviews. But I think the direction that we'll most likely go in is we'll try to do some festivals and try to do a festival run first, because that setting lends itself really well to our sound. Big open spaces, open stage where people can move around and sort of feel the energy. And then ideally look at doing a few sort of DJ strip back sets in places like, we'd be open to like Origin nightclub, Tiger's Milk, some places in and around town that could accommodate a more sort of romantic, tight atmosphere. But obviously stripped back and not with a full band setup, with a DJ setup. So it's going to be interesting, but I think we'll probably only get to that sort of end of March, beginning of April. We'll start looking into that. And then, any big festivals that are open-minded, that's 100% I think the route that we're going to look to go down.
No, 100%. That's absolutely sick. Like, I cannot wait.
It is obviously, it's a little bit difficult with that in mind, trying to build up to that. I think it's a bit of a fairy tale for every musician. They don't want to play the small shows. They want to just get the big sellout crowd festival shows. And you do have to pay your dues and you've got to put in the groundwork. But that's something that we've been doing behind the scenes and in other projects for the last few years. I don't think it's bad for us to set a standard and not necessarily want to go below that. Not that little shows would be below us, but I just don't think it would be beneficial to our sound. We don't want people to go or come away from a show thinking that there were certain aspects that could be better.
No, I agree. I understand 100%. And like, speaking of like, working in other projects and stuff, like Dan, Tanner, how are you guys handling being in 3 bands, like at this point? Like 3 bands respectively. Like, how do you cope? Like,
at the moment, I'll tell you, we're busy finalizing the Truth Decade's new album or new EP. And then we've got Southport also finalizing an album, and we're releasing Always Us's album at the same time. So it's my weeknights are very limited now as to doing fun, but well, music is fun. Yeah, it's and also that's you're filming content and you're recording songs, and then you have to still try and get the rehearsing done. We played a show on the weekend, so we had to get a lot of stuff worked out, and we incorporating the new tracks now from new albums into the set, and that's another whole challenge. So yeah, it's
basically we hate sleep.
I don't sleep much, I'll be honest with you, but it's self-inflicted. So
I find if you regulate your toilet time as well, that helps.
You got to make the best use of your time, like efficiency. And I do find that every musician has a bit of a masochist streak in them. They enjoy the suffering.
I think it's a creative streak. I don't think it's just a musician.
I think it's the addiction.
So yeah, it is tough. Again, I think if we weren't doing it, we'd probably be pent up at home, losing our brains, pulling our hair out.
Yeah.
So
like when I think of like how Dan was explaining it now with all the stuff like dropping at once, all I can think of is that I don't know if you guys have seen like those memes about musicians where like it's like an old man and they're like, this is Dan, he's only 25, and it's like it's because of the stress of all the shit going on.
Under the eyes, monster in hand.
No, look, honestly, I don't know how Daniel is coping with all of this stuff, because he's in so many bands and so many projects, and I mean, he's working as well. It's full time for it.
Oh yeah.
So
it's got but the thing is, I've also for the last at least 10 to 12 years, I've been playing in multiple bands at the same time. None of them at the time were anything, they did well in terms of performance sake, but we never had albums, we never did social media stuff. We did like one photo shoot a year sort of thing, that. So you learn to manage the rehearsing and that sort of thing, and the meeting up on a regular sort of, to me, we meet twice a week. One of the nights we do rehearsing, one of the nights we do social media, and then we write all the songs basically on our own in to a certain degree. Like Winnie would write, let's say, some singing parts with a basic chord progression, and then I would take that thing and add some parts. And,
you would send back something completely different.
but then we try and get the guys to write some parts and add it in where we can, and try and once we've also performed it live, we then adjust the songs to kind of see if it will actually work live. And and then
it's always crazy like how an idea, you'll come up with an idea and then you add the input of like 3 other people or 4 other people depending on the size of your band, and how it can take on a completely different shape or like meaning. It always fascinates me, and even though I've been doing it for like years, like it always fascinates me. Like you'll come up with an idea and then everyone throws in the input and you're like, damn, that's cool.
But I would love for you to hear some of the like skeletons of these songs originally.
Oh yeah,
they are 180 degrees completely different from the way they ended up.
Two of the songs were even recorded. I got COVID while I wrote them, and I recorded them during this time with this extremely congested voice, and it was pretty much gone, but you could hear something. Sent that with a little piano piece to Daniel, and he sent back and Wedding Game, and it's not the same song.
I just love the irony of you that you were working on a song called Going Under that became Going Under while you were in the process of dying from COVID trying to make a song.
The
pain.
It's just like there's so many puns in both Going Under and Waiting Game. Like,
Don't start.
And you thought no one would know.
Oh gosh.
That's brilliant. That's a great story. Don't worry, my train of thought dies so often that I'm surprised I even have brain cells left.
I don't have a train of thought. I've come to the conclusion that I have a bush trail of thought, and I often go off it.
Lost off the path.
I have a friend that I play video games with competitively, and we often joke that her and I have a singular brain cell that we share.
I was going to ask, what do you play?
We go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Oh God, Apex. I play Apex.
Yes, my man.
I'm a Rust boy.
Hit me up, Captain 013. Let's jam.
Sweet. What are you playing on?
Xbox.
Nice. Okay,
Every now and then.
another console boy. Sweet. Well, who do you main? This is gonna decide this is gonna be my true judge of your character. It's like being a musician. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm all about that support. So I'm either a lifeline or maybe a Bangalore. I'm a big fan of a Bangalore.
So
Yeah.
you're a masochist in music and in video games. All right, sweet. I understand.
It's not just a musical thing, bro. Got to carry it over.
It's funny because I am the same. I also play a support or defensive.
You see, we too good, bro. We're too good. Every team has to have a good sponge.
Did you just say bullet sponge? No, that's funny because that's my gamer tag.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not even fucking joking. Like my gamer tag is bullet sponge. It has been so since I was a teenager.
Don't worry, we're gonna jam. We're gonna jam. Dan is a Rust fan.
Yeah.
That's a rabbit hole that I don't want to go down. Otherwise, I'm gonna no life it. Rust and Escape from Tarkov. That I know if I get involved in those two games, I'm gonna give up everything else.
Look out for a Rust animated music video coming sometime.
Ooh, that could be cool.
Yeah, so investigate it.
What was that thing where like Ariana Grande or like guys did like concerts within Fortnite? You guys should do something like that in Rust.
You could buy tickets for Timo EV to watch him perform in the game, basically.
Let's do that. I want to do that.
Hey, look, if it's
Yeah, you just.
no. Someone's got to be.
Like it was like what a time to be alive. Like
Exactly.
you gotta love like how things are bleeding into one another, how like certain like fandoms and hobbies and interests are bleeding into each other as well, because we're becoming so connected through social media and stuff like that. Different sort of things are blending in together in ways that you would never have expected. Like, for instance, artists performing shows in video games. Like, if you had to say that to someone even 10 years ago, they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? That is the dumbest idea I've ever heard.
I think as much
Yet here
as
we are.
yeah, everybody sort of, well, not everybody, but there's a lot of moaning about woke generations, etc. But I think it's made everybody a lot more open-minded, and it's sort of brought down a lot of barriers that were restrictive before, because nowadays there's so many more people playing games, there's so many more people doing these sort of things that it's not shunned anymore, you know, it's not frowned upon as being left of center. So it's become so much more acceptable to do these things.
No, 100%. Like it's crazy like what you can make money doing these days, but at the same time it's so difficult to make a living. Like what a what a paradox. Like
Well, if you've
money
got
but
pretty
not a
feet.
living, yeah.
Yeah. Feetfinder.com.
No.
Like I
No.
said,
No.
Wanina's protesting so much that I feel like someone has suggested this to her. Like
Yes, there's been many suggestions.
You need to get that band.
Not doing that. There will be no OnlyFans of Wanine. Thank you very much.
That's only
Only
No, you can't do that.
Oh,
No, there
we got
is
a
soccer.
shame
We
to
do.
do.
We do have a challenge. So I will wear. Apparently, there's been a request for me to wear a T-shirt with pictures of my feet on it on stage. I have agreed to do this if Matthew goes on stage in full drag.
and it has been agreed upon.
It has been agreed upon. So be on the lookout for a show where I will be wearing a T-shirt.
Matt has that dashing hair though, so I think this could work. I think I would go just for Matt, dude.
I am beautiful. And that's why I have a beard, because otherwise, I'm scared and close.
a few late nights there in the studio. I want to talk about it.
I don't know, dude. If like Dan had an OnlyFans, that would be the easiest money I ever spent.
You know,
What is yourself?
there's too much.
Too much. Just
Moving along, I do find as well that a lot of artists make the mistake of oversaturating themselves. Because
Yeah.
if you play a show every week, every night at the same two venues, people are going to not, I wouldn't say get sick of you, but it's going to lose
Yeah.
that charm of coming to watch you. It's not going to be an experience anymore.
I
It's
need
not
to
going
go
to,
to watch it next weekend and watch it. You know what I mean? It's like,
mm,
or that sort of
like
thing. Yeah, no, it's 100% true.
I don't need to go to this show. I'm just going to watch them again like next week, and then I just do that kind of like snowballs into like, oh, they're always playing. I'll catch one eventually kind of deal.
And with all the bands that we're currently looking at that sort of mindset. It's we don't want to oversaturate our markets, and have the special shows that are important to us. And even we film the performances. Even my current bands, we film every performance. We to build our collection of footage and the history that we want to have at the end of the day. One day when we retire from maybe this type of band, but for another band, but.
Oh my god.
But I mean, at least it's the memories to us, or me personally, it's the memories over everything else. I've got plenty of memories that stand out to this day. I can remember it like yesterday, or from music. So that's
Quality over quantity.
yeah.
No, definitely. I agree with you on that 100%. Like speaking of that post that I made regarding what can the Durban scene do better, the main one that I took away from that was just Wade Flowerday being a dick saying just delete Durban, problem solved. And that was so funny.
Roll back and
Yeah.
rebuild. Durban is like bacteria. This kind of bacteria.
Wade Flowerday has a very specific disgust for Durban. I don't actually know what Durban did to him, but it's just funny to watch him rant.
It's it gets very touchy, touchy to me as well. Being playing for so many years, you've seen the progression, and it has got better. But at the same time, there's other weaknesses that have come in, and it's a difficult thing to try and help with. That's the end of the story, It's
One of the things that I'm like most excited about, especially in Durban at the moment, is the amount of new blood that I'm seeing, new artists,
yeah,
new bands, and stuff like that. And like it's exciting because like these like and like some of them are kids, some of them are like 18, 19 years old, and they bring like a completely new thing to the table. And like I'm always stoked to go and watch it. I'm stoked to like hang out and get their thought processes, and it's yeah.
I know we've played with Truth Decayed. We played, I know, with Scrubs. We even had the guy from Scrubs, the bassist, on stage with us for one of the shows. And to see those young guys, I put myself in their shoes when I was 18. And I came out and I was playing in a punk band back then. Very fast punk beat, sort of like terrible sounding if I look back on it. But it was a start for us, and I definitely see potential in a lot of the younger guys that are coming out now. Definitely.
Definitely. And that boy is one fucking hell of a bassist as well. Like like
Yeah.
it might not be the most technical thing, but he is solid, and he's just like he's got the groove. He's like interesting with his effects and the sounds of his bass. He knows like he's approaching it like it's a bass. He's doing interesting things with his bass in the role of bass instead of trying to play it like a guitar, which you see a lot of young guys do. So like I'm hell of impressed by that kid.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see the progression of the scene over the next few years, with guys like that who are skilled musicians pushing it. And you just hope that it doesn't go down the path like a lot of musicians in the past who leave Durban for want of better opportunities, because we feel like there are plenty of opportunities here, but people are so quick to jump on the negative bandwagon, and things will be better in Cape Town and Joburg, and try and pursue that there. But it's as saturated a market as anywhere else.
The unfortunate thing is that like you said, where they're going, yes, the scenes may be better there. However, like this has the potential to be something better if people would stick around and work on it. I know it's not always the case, it's not easy. Like it's for the guys who have been working on it, it has been an absolute fucking mission. It's a fight every step of the way. However, I do think it'll be rewarding. I do think there's definitely like a growth or resurgence in the Durban scene. And there's a lot more energy and enthusiasm towards it than there was even just like 5 years ago.
I love the passion that people are putting into developing the scene in Durban, into growing it.
No, definitely. And then you as a music teacher, like I'm sure that a big part of your role is encouraging I'm not sure what kind of ages you teach or what groups you teach, but I'm sure like based on your role as being an artist as well, I'm sure you're encouraging like young artists to get involved into the scene, to get into music and to start projects and stuff like that.
That's my aim. I think my youngest at the moment is 2.5, and my oldest at the moment is 65. So it's
What? That is such a ridiculous. You said that so casually, but that is such a huge range. What?
quite a massive range. So it also depends on what they want to learn. But I love encouraging people just to have a love for music, not just drilling in the classical side of things. Like,
Dude, I rocked up to
yeah.
Aneen's house for a vocal lesson sort of midway through last year, and there she was sat at a piano teaching herself a song in Hebrew.
Yeah, well, one of my students requested to learn a song in Hebrew, and I was up for the challenge.
That's cool though, because you know what? You didn't like shoot that student's request down or anything like that. You know what? I find like I think I went for like 2, maybe 3 lessons when I first started playing as a teenager. And you know what? The guy who taught me at that time, he didn't like try and, like you said, drill something specific into me. What he was like, what do you want to play? And I was like, I want to sound like these guys. He was like, cool. These are the tools that you need if you want to sound like them.
Yeah, I mean, you can't sit for hours with someone, teaching them furlese when they want to play rock music. It's not like how is that gonna help?
Like I said, he gave me the tools to learn those things. And you know what? My own curiosity made me go back and look at the other things. The things that as a teenager I wouldn't have wanted to learn because I would have guessed that they were boring or, not flashy or anything like that. But even now, I'm nearly 30 and I'm going back like, what are the basics of funk?
And you study genres. That's the way we also try to incorporate the different sounds into our music. We have house elements, we have drum and bass, we have rock elements, we have trap. It's a whole bunch of different sounds that we've tried to, like you're saying, you take the essentials of it and you make, incorporate multiple of them into one genre and see what comes out, and
no, definitely. I don't know if you guys obviously like they've been all over social media at the moment, especially if you're on TikTok and you follow alternative stuff. Sleep Token that has blown up recently with the song The Summoning. I don't know if any of you guys have heard that song.
Yeah, to have a listen just now.
Okay.
I'm too old for TikTok.
TikTok illiterate.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just a social media whore, so that's that aside. So this band, they have what is one of like this balls to the wall breakdown, which goes into this weird like synth piece for like nearly a minute, and then just busts out into like the funkiest groove I've like it is just, and even like it's the same chorus. It's the same chorus that he sings, or the same verse/chorus, but in a completely different genre. And like people are losing their minds, and rightfully so. Like you guys haven't heard it, so you're not, how do I say, like caught up in that sort of, oh, this is being overplayed. I would highly recommend going and listening to it.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely.
And then weird time signatures as well, and all that shit. And that's great. I'm a sucker for weird music.
Well, you play metal, bro.
Oh, come on.
No, but that's also been like a fascination, like bands like Attack and RC Stars and all of that from back, Pendulum and stuff like that. They incorporate their like heavy trance sort of EDM sort of sounds over the metal stuff, and it's just to see that combination. It's really, I think that's the whole genre thing nowadays is become, like you were saying earlier, is becoming merged. Because you have like hip hop artists that listen to metal. You have, like Post Malone, for example. He's used to playing metal bands, and now he's a massive artist.
Didn't Post Malone audition to be in Crown the Empire?
I know he was in a band. I don't know. Like, I saw some videos, and
he auditioned to be in Crown the Empire, if I'm not mistaken, and didn't make it. There was something stupid like that. I don't know the exact outcome of it, but I know if I'm not mistaken, he definitely like auditioned. It's such a weird like. What a world. And
if you go back further, like Skrillex as well. Skrillex was a front man of like an emo band before he became Skrillex, and then he took that whole genre and blew it up out of the water, by incorporating, I think, like the heaviness of metal sort of sound and that emo sound into dubstep, and the energy. Yeah.
That one song that you played by Yvette Young, I think. Remember that? Can't remember
That girl's guitar playing is so strange. Like it's so interesting. Like I can't comprehend what she's doing. I not for like a chance can play like her.
Or that, and the time signature changes like 5 times per page, and it's like an 8-page song.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, she really just said, "I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want," and became famous doing it. Like it's great.
I don't.
Textbook.
Exactly.
It's when you play piano on guitar. That's
Yeah.
what she's doing.
And then you get other artists who are like deceptively like technical, where their songs are like they're mainstream, but when you look at the theory behind them, they're actually like, hey, what's actually going on here? I remember I wanted to learn Slow Dancing in a Burning Room by John Mayer and was absolutely appalled that I was like, I can't actually, this is going to take me some time to get right.
I mean, it is by John Mayer.
Yeah, exactly. The dude that clapped him.
I didn't know John Mayer's history at the time of like, I know that sounds like a sin, but I didn't know what his prior accomplishments was. I had only ever known him as like a mainstream artist. So when I went into it, I was like, oh, this shouldn't be too bad to learn. And then looked at it and I was like, oh God.
Like, revise.
Yeah, my opinion has changed. Winnie, this is going to be a strange request, and I don't know if you do like.
Oh, no! Oh, God. Shut up!
I don't know what the assumption is. I don't know if you like are like interested in listening. Like, there's this girl named Ado. She's a Japanese singer, right? I would really like, as a vocal teacher, I would really like to hear your thoughts on her singing because I'm a huge fan of this girl. I'm a bit of a weeb, I'm going to be honest with you. That's I'll send the name to Dan and let me know your thoughts on this girl's singing. I would really like to hear like a professional's opinion on that.
Okay, being called a professional, that sounds interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll definitely.
Sweet. I don't know what request you thought I was going to ask, based on our earlier conversations. I don't know if you thought I was about to ask for feet. But...
I've gotten some strange requests, you won't believe.
If they're that bad that is your first reaction, good Lord.
Yeah, well, my mind goes to places.
The data is low.
The data is there. It's easily accessible.
You know, like talking about like different musical like things and whatnot, guys, like what are some of your main inspirations? Like, you know, I know as an artist, like it's a difficult question. Like when you're put on the spot, like I find myself, it's difficult to answer that question. But who would you say, like with each of you, is like a core inspiration, either having grown up or something that got you involved in music, or heavily influenced how you play or perform today?
I can start this one. I started off listening to like trance music when I was probably 11 years old back in the day, like trying to think of the name, like Brooklyn Bounce and stuff like that. And yeah, then as I grew up, I kind of diverted to rock music, and System of a Down was the first band that got me into like proper rock music. And then from there, you know, you go down that whole Slipknot, Disturbed, that sort of thing, and eventually found emo music. And yeah, that's, you know, that whole Story of the Year, that sort of vibe kind of took over my preference in the type of sound that I like, if you know what I mean. Like the different scales that make up that type of music generally is what I sort of go towards. And then yeah, then I somehow got back into the trance music from Armin van Buuren. He used to do these like hour-long podcasts that I listened to, and yeah, State of Trance podcast, yeah, and it's and then that just got my, you know, I was still involved in playing metal bands and stuff like that, and then that side of things took over, and I started adding the synth elements, and then we ended up with a whole bunch of keyboards and synthesizers and stuff, and it's just become the normal way since then. But well, that's for me personally. What about you, Matt?
So, well, my first album I ever got, I'll never forget, Run to the Hills, Iron Maiden.
It's so funny because I was learning an Iron Maiden solo today. That's just
Iron Maiden and me, it's beautiful. So, yeah, no, my father, like, that's how he influenced me. So he influenced me with metal, and my mother had grade 8 piano under her. So I always listened to classical music as well. So I've always had a range. So it's never been a genre that I've liked. It's always just been if something sounds nice, it sounds nice. So that's why I can listen to Hindu songs, and some of them slap.
Yeah.
Like on the tumblers and whatever they call those things. So, but just interesting sounds, throat singing, so and that's where, so my passion is more towards sound and soundscapes and, making it just pleasant to hear.
I can respect that. I definitely agree with your approach on listening to music.
Yeah, so just open wide, and if it doesn't sound good for that particular song, it doesn't sound good, and it changes per song, and it's what makes the whole journey fun, about making a song or just mixing, So, but yeah, that would be.
It sounds like you have like a really objective approach to like music. Is it good? Yes. Do I like it?
Yeah.
No, but like you can respect like talent where respect where respect is due. Like
yeah, and there will be songs that I might not like that someone else will like, and I don't disagree with that person for liking that song. I'm just like, okay, cool. Yeah, it's just a thing.
Personally, when we were writing this album, I remember listening to, there were a couple albums in particular that influenced a lot of the sort of vocal melodies and the way I wrote it. In particular, an album by Nothing Nowhere called Ruiner, I think it was, and a few Juice WRLD albums, to be completely honest. I think Juice WRLD was, one of the hottest talents, especially freestyle. So the time that we were writing this album, I'd say those were probably the two biggest influences for me. I think like most musicians, I'll sort of change what I'm listening to every now and then, depending on the mood. But Juice WRLD, Nothing Nowhere for that particular time of my life was huge influence.
It's also like, okay, I started with an absolute obsession for Roxette at an early age. And literally that was all I wanted to listen to, but it was because I actually found a CD like in my parents' cupboard. That's not Roxette.
I literally thought about that as well, to be honest.
Anyway.
I was honestly going to do that as well. That's not
You
Roxette.
guys know. That's not Roxette. Okay.
Someone's lost their position in the band.
Yes.
I'll take one.
And so then I went to study music, so that went more into the classical side, and I learned to appreciate a bunch of different genres that I thought I hated prior to this, but at the moment my playlist is scary. Like it jumps from classical stuff to stuff that these guys send me, which are more along the lines of trance and even some metal stuff that I've saved on there. And also then, Frozen soundtrack is also,
We know
also
that.
on there,
We get every month at band practice, we get a
gosh.
whole sing through.
the Bathroom Bazaar tune jingle sticks in my brain, and so but I think influence for this album, I was listening to a lot of songs by the Midnight and Churches at that time, but also lyrics heavily influenced. Like, also, I do agree with Matthew on if a song is good, it's good. It doesn't matter about the genre. But I'm heavily influenced by lyrics. That's the first thing I go to. I hear it, I listen to it, and I play that whole story in my mind as if it's a movie.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, let's be honest though, like, you were laughing about the Frozen thing, but like for me personally, like we don't talk about Bruno as like musical genius. Like I ended up going and watching like a whole theory breakdown on how that song works. I'm not sure if you guys have watched Encanto.
Yeah.
Well, we're waiting for your Gent cover when that comes out.
No, I don't think I could do that justice. That's something that was really well done in its original form. So I WhatsApped the sleep token thing to Daniel, as well as the Ado thing for Wenin. Like, I would like to hear your thoughts on it sometime. But yeah. Guys, in closing, we've been at this for over an hour.
You're so easy to chat to.
It's been fun. This has been a lot of fun. Like, I really enjoyed having a chat with you guys. And where can people find you? Where can people find your music? I'm 100% sure when this episode's going up, but I do think it will be after your stuff has released. So yeah, where can people find you? Where can people find your music when it's out and whatnot?
Well, yeah. So most social media platforms, you can look for us at Always Us Band. TikTok. We don't really use Twitter much, but mainly Instagram, Facebook, the sort of common areas, and then YouTube as well. It's going to be a place that we upload a lot of our content.
And then Spotify, iTunes.
Yeah, all the normal streaming. You even have a website.
Yes, we do have a website.
So yeah, at Always Us Band is the handle.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Because we are always us, and we will always be us. Sorry, I just had to say that.
Yeah.
And yeah, check out our new album, which is on all the streaming platforms, and drop us a message on our social so we can hear what you guys think.
Our biggest thing, I think, is comments. We want to find out.
Everything. Comment.
No, we are very interested. It's a to me as well. Personally, it's a new sort of test and genres of what we're doing here. So it'll be interesting to see how the audience react to the music. It's a bit scary, but also it's exciting to see what happens.
It is quite a vast mix, isn't it?
I'm excited, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat with me today. I can't express how much I appreciate it, and you guys have been so much fun to chat to.
You too.
Stay